Okay, so hello and welcome to this week's Tech Plugged In. So we're going to be starting off with a few roundups from Computex that were missed due to the timing of the video. A story on how DRAM prices are expected to drop even further as a result of the Huawei blacklisting. The announcement of Google Stadia. And finally, rumours about NVIDIA GeForce RTX 20 series Super. Coming from Computex, we have got several things. So the first is the Delta Max RGB SSD that has a mirrored design and displays transparent effect that has been compared to a magic mirror by manufacturer Team Group. So there is a large amount of LED RGB lighting on this, and it looks like it has an OLED screen on it. It can be connected via the motherboard to USB or connected via USB. So the performance has been listed as 560 megabytes a second reads and 510 megabytes a second writes. So now we are going to have to obviously hope that this doesn't have the same issue as previous SSDs with RGB, such as the Fury X from Kingston. Next up we have Seasonic's new power supply design that will make cable management, for those of you that have never been any good at it, like myself, will make you breathe a sigh of relief at its simplicity. So what it does is has the standard power supply unit at the back of the case where you'd expect it to be, but then comes with a single 12 volt cable that goes into a distribution panel that also converts to 5 volts and 3.3 volts, giving you an easy access to all the headers and connectors that the power supply will go to, such as the 24-pin power for your motherboard being right next to the actual motherboard's power supply. So this will make cable management so much easier, as I've mentioned before, and currently it's only coming out in a 750 watt model, but other models are expected to follow if it is successful in the market. So next, DRAM Exchange, which generally looks at the pricing and predicts pricing of new parts of RAM, has predicted that the US government ban on Huawei will cause a DRAM price drop of up to 15% in the third quarter of this year. So we have this is showing the continuing ripples that are spreading from the ban that has been put into force by the US government. So this is because Huawei shipments of smartphones and server products are falling due to the fact that there are now heavy obstacles blocking them from shipping to places such as the US. The market has obviously already struggled with falling prices and demand. This has meant that we've enjoyed the price drops that have meant that RAM is far cheaper and has come into a nice price range for those getting into PC building. So as the trade war goes into the second half of this year, there will be a large amount of issues, and we will see more sectors that will suffer, as we will get increased tariffs from certain companies that operate out of China that haven't tried to move, like MSI has. Google Stadia was announced earlier this week, and we now have more details on it, and it is expected to launch in November with the Founders Pack. So the maximum specifications for it are going to be 60 FPS 4K with HDR and 5.1 surround sound. Now this is the maximum, so you are expected to get at least 720p due to as your network speed changes. So they recommend 10 megabits a second for the 720p 60fps with stereo, going all the way up to 35 megabits a second for 4K 60fps with 5.1 surround sound. Now the 1080p is roughly in the middle of these two figures, with HDR 60fps and 5.1 surround sound needing 20 megabits a second. Now there are going to be many games available for purchase on Stadia, and Destiny 2, the collection, will come for free with the Founders Edition pack. With the Founders Edition pack you will also get a Chromecast Ultra and a Night Blue Stadia controller. This allows you to show that you've bought into it recently, and currently we only have pricing for the Founders Edition pack and expected pricing for Stadia Pro. So the Founders Edition will come with for $129 and Stadia Pro, when it launches, will be $9.99 a month. Now Stadia Base, which is expected to come next year, so 2020, will be free, but your resolution will be capped at 1080p and you will only be able to get stereo sound. Both allow you to buy games, however you get free games released regularly and discounts if you go for Stadia Pro. Finally, there is a bit of a tacky benefit that also comes with being an early adopter, where you'll be able to make a name for yourself without actually having a random number appended onto the end for reasons. It is only going to be launched in certain countries. We have the new, the rumoured RTX 20 series Super lineup. So these are going to feature slightly different dies. So the RTX 2080 Super will come with a TU104 450, which will feature 3072 CUDA cores, 8 gigs of GDDR6 VRAM, and a 256-bit wide memory bus. So the pricing is set to replace what the current 2080 costs, while the 2080 itself, the original one that's currently out, will take a roughly $100 drop in cost. And then we have similar specifications, bumps and pricing for the RTX 2070 Super, which is expected to feature the same specifications as that were suspected for the 2070 Ti. So this would be 2560 CUDA cores, 8 gigs of VRAM, and it is supposedly going to have the TU104 410 chip. Now the interesting part is actually going to be the 2060 Super, as this is said to feature the same GPU, is expected to have a TU106 410 GPU. So this will increase the CUDA core count to 2176, and also possibly increase the VRAM to 8 gigs of GDDR6 on a 256-bit wide bus. This is possible due to the die upgrade, meaning that the GPU will actually be able to have this wider bus and more SM units. It won't utilise all of the SM units, but it's expected to utilise 34 of them. So these interesting rumours are too early to tell whether they are actually going to happen, and the launch is expected to take place in July, and Nvidia may have an event planned for large announcements. It also makes us wonder if obviously we'll get a 2080 Ti Super with a full full TU102 die and more VRAM. Nvidia already has the flagship GPU thrown to themselves, but I think us and other enthusiasts would love to have even more performance for the same price. So I would say let us know what your opinions are on these rumours in the comments down below. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and please like, favourite, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now we are changing our upload time to be a bit later, most possibly 7 o'clock, as currently it is a struggle to get these videos out at 5.